When you climb into the truck every morning, it can feel like your day starts with turning the key. But the truth is, your day actually started hours before that. Before the first trailer moves, someone has already been balancing customer schedules, maintenance appointments, call-offs, weather, equipment availability, and a dozen last-minute surprises you may never even know happened. It's a giant puzzle, and somehow, every single day, the pieces come together. Until they don't. Sometimes it's a driver calling off at 3 in the morning. Sometimes it's a truck that suddenly needs service. Sometimes it's a bakery that's only hours away from running out of flour. And every once in a while, it's a bird that somehow ends up in a trailer full of food-grade product or a fishing hook that turns into a 5-figure mistake. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the people who live in that controlled chaos every single day. Joining us are 3 terminal leaders from 2 very different operations, Fairborn, Ohio, and Saginaw, Texas, to explain what really happens behind the scenes, why communication can make or break an entire day, how drivers from different terminals routinely step in to help one another, and why keeping freight moving isn't just about trucks, it's about trust. If you've ever wondered what has to happen before your phone rings with the next load, this episode's for you. Let's get moving.
You are listening to Always Pneumatic, Never Static, the totally pressurized podcast brought to you by Bulk Transit, where we keep the lines clear, the tanks empty, and the conversation anything but dry. Whether you're running powder, pellets, or anything in between, pull up a seat, crack the windows, and let's hit it.
How's it going out there, Bulk and Spur? Welcome into another episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static. Thank you so much for being here today and clicking that download button. It helps us more than you know. I, of course, am your host, Marcus. Same as always, nothing's changed there, and nothing's changed except the most recent episode. This one has been uploaded to the website, podcast.bulktransit.com. Make sure you head on over there. Take the quizzes that we have with every single episode. Check out all the information. Maybe you're just brand new to this podcast. Maybe somebody told you because we're giving out homework to tell a friend right now. Maybe somebody told you about it and you're just listening and this is your first episode. Well, I got great news for you. We got some, I think like 25 behind this one that you can catch up with, and they're all about an hour long or more. So you've got plenty of stuff to listen to while you put the miles behind you. We can occupy that windshield time, and we're always just glad to have everybody here. And to our new listeners, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you greatly, and we hope that you'll stick around with us as we continue to learn about and grow with Bulk and Spur Transit. And today's episode is a really cool one. We'll get into that in just a second. But let's not forget that homework. Before I go any further, tell a friend. Hey, maybe it's mom or dad, and you've got an appearance that you made on here. My parents listen to this podcast every single week. They account for one click, and I am grateful for it every time. And that was just me telling a friend. Now, I can't get my wife to listen yet. I haven't gotten her turned on to it. That could be an effect of the fact that she lives between the 4 walls of this house with me, and this mouth does not have an off switch. But I tell her every single week that there's a new episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static if she feels like checking it out. And one day, she will. I'll wear through that hard exterior, and she's going to click through and see what this thing's all about. That's all I'm asking you guys to do, but you don't have to work nearly as hard at it. That's something that I take very important to me, very personal to me, to make my wife listen to these, even though she gets a full recap of every one of them whenever she gets home across the dinner table each night. So all you have to do is tell a friend. And you know something that's going to happen in this episode is we're going to hear from some terminal managers that talk about having drivers, they see a driver with a bulk truck pulled over on the side of the road, and they call up their terminal and say, hey, you got a driver stopped off, exit 2 on 10, and they say, yeah, we do. Okay, well, we're going to stop and help that driver out. Hey, you guys are already doing it. You're already helping a friend. Now all I need you to do is just tell a friend about the podcast. It's real simple. Say, head on over to podcast.bulktransit.com and check out Always Pneumatic, Never Static. If you want to search it on your favorite podcast platforms instead of going to the website, we are on all of them. Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it, you can find us there. iHeart. Yeah, we're there too. I know a lot of you guys are cruising through the country listening to iHeart podcasts or iHeart radio stuff. Well, add us to the lineup. We'll give you 1 hour of content a week, releasing at 5 a.m. local time every single Wednesday here at Always Pneumatic, Never Static, and we are proud to do it, working with such a great company like Bulk and Spur, a family-run company. It really makes the job easy on us over here at Always Pneumatic, Never Static. So we will welcome new listeners with open arms. And if you work for Bulk and you want to join us on this podcast, the door is open. Head on over to the website, podcast.bulktransit.com, and send me an email. There's a button over there you can click. It will come directly to me, which also hits me right in the pocket because my phone's connected to that email address too. So wherever I am, I will get that message, and I will be reaching back out to you to talk to you about coming on the show. You can send me your suggestions for things you'd like to hear, or you can just get in touch with me and tell me why the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to beat my Oregon Ducks this year. We got football season around the corner, and I'm chomping at the bit to talk about that with all of you Ohio State fans, all of you Michigan fans, all of you Texas Longhorn fans out there. I know you're out there, and we will have a football episode. We'll have some fun coming up here before too long, so make sure to look forward to that in the future. But today's episode is a very important one because we're giving you a peek behind the scenes of operations. But we're not talking about operations like what Sean came on and talked about during the company anniversary episode a couple weeks ago. That was great. That was a 30,000-foot view of the entire operation, and I love that because it's so insightful, and it gives drivers a peek behind the curtain of what's really going on when they're out putting miles behind them. We wanted to take it a step further and get a couple more terminals in here, talk to some guys that are in unique situations, hauling unique things with unique teams of drivers that help them get through it every single day. And it's really, I think this episode will help you understand that the driving, while it's the most important part, is only one part of just a sea of operations that has to come together for all of this to work out smoothly. Today's guests represent terminals separated by hundreds of miles, yet they operate together as one team. And I think that aspect is really cool. We're going to dig into it once we get our guys in here. And this episode, it isn't just for you current Bulk and Spur drivers out there. I know there's people that are going to tune into this podcast to see what Bulk and Spur is all about before they ever submit an application to Rachel. And I think this is a really good episode for that too, because a lot of times in my experience, I find drivers going from one company to the next are going to ask questions like, well, what's operations like? How does this whole boat float through the ocean, and how does my part affect it? This episode is for you. I promise you that. And hey, we got some great stories coming up here too. We're going to tell you about a time that a bird ruined an entire silo of flour. How? Well, stay tuned. How about a $10,000 fish hook? You ever heard of one of those? Me either, but we'll talk about one today. And 3 a.m. phone calls, these ones aren't about, hey, you up? This isn't coming back from the bar. You want Taco Bell? No, that's not why these 3 a.m. phone calls come through. The 3 a.m. phone calls that come through that we're going to talk about today are important phone calls because they tend to send a ripple effect through the rest of the day that could affect everybody at the terminal or even outside of the terminal. And today's podcast episode is going to sort of show you how the people that are tasked with dealing with that deal with it. And the respect that they have for the employees that they oversee is really going to come through here. Just listen to it. If you want the real hammer to nail type moment comes at the very end of the interview here, where we're getting into our final thoughts, and you'll hear some of the appreciation that comes through from these guys. In fact, I think you can hear it throughout the entire episode. What these guys that we're about to talk to understand is that this whole operation takes a village. Even just one person not doing their job, not fulfilling their responsibility, not having the next person's back can really affect the entire operation. And that's why today's episode is so cool. So I don't need to tell you anything more about it. I've teased all the teasable points. You guys are chomping at the bit right now to get in here and listen to these guys. So without further ado, let's bring Rob, Dale, and Jeremy in here and talk operations. All right, welcome back in here to Always Pneumatic, Never Static. Very excited for my three guests joining us today. One that we've had here before, so let's welcome in the terminal manager out there at the Fairview Terminal, Rob Shope. Rob, we're really glad to have you back, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Always, man. You're always welcome on the show. Did it awesome last time. Really looking forward to having you here for this one. And we got a couple gentlemen making their first appearance here on Always Pneumatic, Never Static, and we're just as happy to have them along. First off, we've got the terminal manager out of Saginaw, Dale Cetina, on the phone, or on the line. Sorry about that, Dale. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Marcus. I really appreciate the invite here.
Of course, and your assistant manager out there, Jeremy Willison, is also with us today. Jeremy, thanks for being here, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. We're really glad to have you guys. Really, what I want out of this episode is to just give everybody a peek behind the curtain of how different terminals handle different things and really how operations at those terminals make things so comfortable throughout the entire operation. It's one thing that I've seen just doing this podcast for 20-some episodes is that things run very smoothly at Bulk and Spur, even though you guys are very spread out. I mean, we're talking to Ohio and Texas here, so we've got a lot of miles between the terminals, just the ones that we have on. So, Rob, I'm going to start out with you. For the drivers listening, what exactly does an operations team do that the drivers may never actually see? How is it that you guys keep this thing running so that the drivers can get their miles and be on time, and you guys aren't constantly pulling your hair out and putting holes in the wall out there in Fairborn?
Well, for this terminal, it's, these loads come at us, so it makes it kind of easy for us, but we have to put the puzzle together. So putting the puzzle together is probably one thing that they never see. Putting it together to where loads, I mean, we got the different times, we got different places we're delivering to. We got trucks that need to be serviced, this, that, and the other, trailers that need to be serviced, things like that. And we don't have a shop here, so putting the puzzle together and making everything roll and still try to be equal throughout the board, okay, to keep everybody busy and not just one person making this awesome money. We want to try to push that all the way down to everybody making a good living here. So the puzzle, it's all the time, all the different times that people want the deliveries, scheduled maintenance, call-offs, people that have doctor's appointments. They don't understand that, we still want to keep them busy as well, regardless if their appointment's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or it could be in the morning. We still want them to be able to maybe come in and run at least one load in the afternoon if their appointment's in the morning. Things like that happen, not really through a seniority dispatch, but we kind of just got to choose when somebody's got things like that to do in order for us to make revenue and for the driver to not only not have to take a PTO day or anything like that, but he can also still make some money that day without taking the whole day off. Sure.
And you brought up something there that I'm wondering if maybe every terminal manager ever has wanted to have the opportunity to say on a podcast. Call-offs, they happen. This is, we're all adults here. We're all living our lives, fighting battles that nobody knows anything about. And sometimes work is just kind of in the way of living that life, and there's a call-off. Maybe somebody's sick. Maybe you got something going on at home. Who knows? But what kind of ripple effect can that have, Rob, throughout the terminal? If you got just one guy that calls off that maybe was kind of an important part of the schedule that day, how do you go about rectifying that? And like I said, what kind of ripple effect can it have?
Well, everyone's important here because we don't have just drivers sitting and waiting for a load. When we do dispatch, it's every single truck is accounted for, every single load is accounted for, and once a guy gets sick or calls off or whatever, we have to make adjustments. We have to make changes in dispatch. Rather, we got to figure out what's priority, what's not priority. They're all priority. It's all priority. But which one do we need to do or take away from in order to, or stack up another on somebody else in order to cover that run for the day? It's very challenging, especially when you're dealing with a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Dale, I'm sure you can contest to that. It's very challenging, and for some reason, I always tell my guys we always figure it out. So, and that's what's great about having a like a family oriented team. That's pretty much what I call my guys as family. And, when those people, when they can do their best and want to do their best, when we have a call off, we have somebody that's sick or whatever the case may be, they step up and get it done. And I think that's very important.
For sure. It's a common theme on this podcast. Whenever we get to talk to people from other terminals outside of the Plain City terminal, that's what you hear is there's a lot of stepping up, a lot of you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and just a lot of helping that goes on between the drivers. I've had drivers come on the show and say, well, if they need me over at X terminal, I just go over there and help out. Like it's second nature. I think it's really cool, and I love to call it out, love to see it on this podcast. Dale and Jeremy, you guys have been kind of nodding your head along with the things that Rob's been saying here. I want to get to the Saginaw terminal and talk about some of the similarities and differences between Fairborn. We haven't gotten to talk to a lot of you Spur guys yet on this podcast, and so talk to me a little bit about the uniqueness of your terminal out there in Saginaw. You're really far removed from everything else. How does that bring challenges and advantages to what you've got going on out there, Dale?
Well, I think mostly we're food grade here. We do a lot of food products, and so things change a lot. We get a lot of add-ons, a lot of changes in times, a lot of cancellations and things like that. And you were mentioning how we help each other. Right now, I've got one of Rob's drivers down here helping me because I'm shorthanded. So we actually sent one all the way from Ohio down here. I've got two down here from Bulk Transit right now helping us out while we're a little short. But it's really hard sometimes for last minute call-ins. They come early in the morning, dispatch has already been out. And so what we have to do is make other people's day longer. It happens so frequently sometimes we ended up having to put extra things that we could pay the driver when we make their day longer, so they get a little bit extra when they step up. And the ones that get the big picture, the ones that know that we're all in this ship together and we got to keep it afloat, and they step up and they take it on and they make it happen. They, make that little extra, and it's what pulls us through. Sometimes we can't make it. Sometimes we have to figure out which one's got the priority. The rule of thumb here is we don't run a bakery out of flour. They depend on our product that we're hauling from the mills to get to them to make the things that they're making. And so to run them out of flour, that's like the cardinal sin. So we're always trying to figure out, we'll get with the customers. What's your drop dead time? Because we might have more than one load affected, and we got to figure out which ones to prioritize. It's not that one place is more important than the other, but one is going to run out faster than the other. So we're trying to, get to the places that are the hottest first,
For sure.
Sometimes they can flex with us. We've got a lot of customers that do flex and bend with us, and we may be able to push a load into the next day or maybe even a couple days out, depending on their needs or when they're available. And so that helps. It's just working with other drivers, working with the mill staff, working with the customers, and we all approach it as a team. So here in Saginaw, we're based right at the customer location, and we take care of our customers. So we all teamwork it together. We get with the mill scheduler, and sometimes if it's an issue with a load, we might get with quality or whatever, to find out if we can ship it or not, depending on what the situation is or what. But yeah, we work closely with the mill and just team effort.
It sounds like it.
So the ones that are team oriented, the ones that understand, that the unit cohesiveness sort of thing, they pull together and they make it happen. It's without those people, I don't know what we do here.
For sure.
So,
It's so cool.
yeah, I'm the one to get it done,
Yeah, it's so cool to hear. This is the reason we wanted to do this episode, Dale, was because of, Rob, you talked about putting the puzzle together, and Dale, you just kind of explained that puzzle even a little bit deeper than what Rob did. There's so many moving parts and so many things that have to go right just to get through one successful day. with what we're doing here. And Jeremy, I want to go to you next. Talk to me about the way it makes you feel as an assistant terminal manager when you got drivers all the way from Fairborn, Ohio, stepping up to come down and help you guys when you're shorthanded. I have to imagine that you kind of well up with pride a little bit. They're coming all the way down there to help you guys stay above water. And the job you're doing is really important, because if a bakery runs out of flour, your boy Marcus doesn't have his donuts, and I get cranky, Jeremy. So,
no, it is really nice. It does make me feel good knowing that these guys are willing to come down and help us out. I mean, if we had a chance to return the favor, we definitely would. But a lot of these guys are, not big on running out of state for too long. So, with that being said, it is nice to have these guys down here, because they are basically plug and play. They know what they're doing. They can come down and say, okay, this is what I got for you. I need you to run here. And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. And they're all about it. So it definitely helps me out tremendously doing the dispatch. Like Rob said, putting the puzzle together every day is not always fun. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than the next day. But having people who are willing to come in and pick up whatever you need and run it wherever it needs to go and no questions asked, it definitely makes it a lot easier for sure.
Now, do you guys have a shop there in Saginaw? I know Rob doesn't have one in Fairborn. You guys have a truck shop out there?
No, we have a mobile tech, but we don't have a shop. We're a food processing center, so they won't allow us to put a hard brick and mortar shop here. So
okay,
we're at the mercy of outside vendors, and we have our service tech in the Jeremy Hall. He's been on there before. He coordinates all the service and things that we need through the shops that we use. So, and he's doing a great job doing that. So.
Yeah, another moving part that can be a little bit challenging, I'm sure. Rob, how challenging is it to not have a shop there in Fairborn? You're a little closer to Plain City, I assume. Is that where you're sending trucks when they need maintenance?
Yeah, we send them up to Plain City, and we send them over to Sydney as well. But I have a great assistant. Her name's Kathy. She's pretty much in charge of maintenance and keeping trailers getting serviced, trucks getting serviced, and she does a really good job of monitoring all of that. So when something needs to be worked on, and if it can get worked on, we get it over there. What we try to do is we try to make money while we're doing that. So we're going to try to send a load towards Columbus or whatever, and then we could deliver that and then stop off and get a service done or whatnot, and maybe even do loads in between getting your service done. Just park your truck, grab a loaner, get your trailer, and go back and get another load. By the time you get back, your truck service is ready to come back home. So that's kind of how we do it here. But Kathy does a really good job on scheduling stuff like that, and staying on top of that, the whole trailer and truck maintenance program, because it's a lot to juggle to do, create loads, putting the puzzle together on top of figuring out what you got to do to get maintenance done as well. So
yeah, for sure. Well, how cool that drivers can actually jump in a loaner and take a load while they're waiting. I talk to a lot of truck drivers. I'm going on 4 years of making podcasts for them, and one of the biggest frustrations is sitting and waiting and not driving, whether it's at the shop or in traffic. It doesn't matter. When they're not putting miles behind them, that's when they start to get a little testy. So having that ability for the drivers, that's kind of unique in the industry, Rob. I don't know that I've heard too many trucking companies that will give a driver a loaner if it's just a day. If that truck's going to be in the shop for a week or two, I totally see that. But having it be a day-long thing, most of those drivers just end up twiddling their thumbs in the lounge. So I'm sure you see a few smiles on faces when they know they've got work to do while that truck is getting worked on.
Yeah, there's definitely smiles, but I'm sure I can count on my hand how many would just rather just sit there. But
well, I get that. I sit on my butt all day, so who am I to talk, right?
It does help a lot to have spare trucks when you can't have the shop, because things don't always get turned around very quickly.
Sure. And do you guys have very many spare trucks out there in Saginaw to pick from?
We don't keep a lot. We keep a couple of them, enough that we can, do scheduled services and things like that. We try not to slip seat as best we can. We assign everybody their unit, but sometimes in a pinch, if somebody's on vacation or what, we might fire their truck, because number one, we're going to take care of the customer.
Right.
So there's that.
Absolutely. Now, it's kind of, I wonder, because we talked about Saginaw being food grade. Rob, what sort of products are we hauling out of Fairborn? Do you guys do any food grade? Is it all one thing, or are you kind of mixed with what you guys haul?
No, we're mainly just minerals. We're just cement, lime, sand, cullet. We just crush glass, some plastic. So we don't get too much into the food grade not unless I'm sending somebody to Dale, or we're helping out with Columbus flour. But yeah, we're mainly minerals here.
Do you guys have to whip the mineral guys into shape when they come down to Texas to haul food grade, or is it the other way around? Dale, you said they're kind of plug and play. Is there any major differences in the job that these guys really have to be cued into before they come down to haul food grade from Fairborn?
There's a few things that are different. We use a filter screen that we pass everything through that'll catch anything that, if the hose lining came apart, the screen would catch it, or if there was something in the load itself, some foreign material, it would catch that. We want to catch it before the customer does. And depending on what it was, I mean, if it's like a moisture clump or something, that's one thing. But one time we found a bird in there. Loader was loading the trailer, turned his back on the hatch for a second, and a bird flew in there. And the driver found it. And so, yeah, I sent the picture to the QC lady at the time. I thought she was going to throw up, but we decided we were going to have to take all that flour out of that silo because that bird got in there. I mean, things happen. Yep. So, safety first, but food safety second. We don't want to contaminate anything. We're feeding millions of people here. I mean, we got some of the biggest customers that make pizzas and pastas and breads and cookies and crackers and all this and tortillas, and they're not small companies. I mean, we're feeding millions of people, and we got to do that in a way that's food safe, because we don't want to end up, with a giant recall and have every government person down here checking us with a white glove or everything. We try to get ahead of it. So, the loaders pay close attention. They make sure everything smells good before they load it. Nothing dim there. We also have different kinds of products, and the pizza people don't want cookie flour, and the cookie people don't want cracker flour, and so on and so forth. So we got to make sure the trailer's empty and clean. We got a full wash bay here that's food grade wash. They make sure the trailers all stay clean for us in the Sherman terminal. And we do some outside washes as well, but they get it all clean before we load it and everything. And that, all this stuff comes into play for food safety, because, that's super important. We all eat this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I consistently see Jeremy just sitting there nodding his head, yes, and Rob too. And I mean, look, if you're cooking my pizza or pasta, I don't want to bite into a dead bird bone. So I get that. Right. I wonder, sorry, go ahead, Dale. I didn't mean to step on you there.
Well, it could be all kinds of things. You never know. You just got to be careful with it, and that's why we take extra steps. Things get passed through magnets. They probably don't have to do that with cement or whatever, but all our stuff goes through different types of equipment at the plant level when they're making their products and everything. So the sifter will catch anything that we don't, and that may trigger us going to take our back trailer over there to pull the flour out. Then we clean everything out and start them over again, which is a real headache. It's easier to catch it beforehand.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. Finding it at that level, it missed several checks along the way. So we want to do all the things ahead of time so that the customer never sees any of that. We want to catch the problem before it leaves the yard. So there's checks and double checks and triple checks to make sure things are right before it ever leaves here.
Is that bird story the craziest one, or do you have another one that, the reason I ask, and I was going to get to this a little bit later, but I feel like it's such a good transition here, we got to make it. You're juggling a lot. We already talked about it. The whole puzzle comes together with a lot of moving parts and a lot of work from a lot of people. But that just means that the crazy things that happen, when they do happen, tend to stick out in our minds a little bit. The bird story's really good, Dale, but I wonder if you and Jeremy got any other ones that you didn't expect to receive that call that day. Anything stand out in your mind?
I got a $10,000 fish hook hanging on my cork board back here. Somebody was loading the trailer. Somebody doesn't work here anymore. It was a long time ago, but that's been on the wall a long time. He dropped something in the trailer while he was loading it. He didn't want to say anything because he's afraid to get in trouble. So he went out to his car and he got his little pocket fisherman and he fished out whatever it was. and he thought he got it all back, but he dropped that hook in there. He got whatever he dropped, but he dropped the hook in there, and that came out in the filter screen and triggered one. So it was like, yeah, you never know. It's always something.
A $10,000 fishing hook. That's the most expensive one I've heard of.
Yeah, by the time, because we ended up, we contaminated that. So, that's a freight claim. We had to pull not just the flour we put in there, but what was already in there, and all that comes out, and then we got to clean it and all that. I mean, yeah, it gets expensive. That's the part I don't think sometimes drivers understand is the cost of when we mess up. Yeah, sure. Rework is expensive. I don't care what line of work you're in. If you're doing it over, it gets expensive, and the margins aren't that high in all this. So, that's a loss. That's money we could have used other places for equipment or raises or whatever.
Right.
But now we just had to use it to send a crew out to, clean out this and that and the other. It gets expensive.
I'm sure it does. Rob, I see you kind of almost smiling in bewilderment about the $10,000 fish hook, and I wonder what kind of crazy ones have come out of left field in Fairborn that you didn't expect, but maybe put a little bit of a dent in your day.
Well, I hate to say it, but probably similar situation, cargo claim. I mean, we try. I hadn't had one until this year. We took some product to, we actually were running product for another terminal. First time ever this driver ever ran premix. Okay. He gets to the shipper and the guy says, hey, just around the corner around that silo, you can't miss it. And he goes back there and delivers in it. And guess what? He put the wrong product in the wrong silo.
Oh, no.
That's just, to keep that from happening, we had to, we got to physically have these people walk back there and show us. Not only the forklift driver could not be the shipping receiving guy, and he's just telling something, out of the clear blue for somebody. But that was one of those ones that I thought I would never get into or have. I know we delivered to some places that have like gray cement, white cement, fly ash, this, that, and the other, but that's a little bit different from having premix in a sand bin. So.
Yeah, for sure. Has there ever been a time when somebody says you can't miss it, that hasn't been kind of a famous last word scenario? I mean, you can't miss it almost gives you a 50% chance to miss it, I feel like, Rob.
Yeah. And that wasn't even the place where he was supposed to be unloading. It's just misinformation from somebody that really shouldn't even been given any instructions. But regardless, our driver should not even have went around and just guessed that was the silo. That's what kind of precautions Dale's down there is taking to make sure that, we don't have these claims. And they had to empty that whole bin out with the vac truck and all that stuff. So it's definitely not, it's not good. And it costs a lot of money and it doesn't look good on us either. So
sure. There's customer service angle that comes in here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the rework's expensive, but how do you get your reputation back, and what does that cost?
Yeah. Definitely an important part of the conversation. And that kind of brings me to the next part of the segment here. And I wanted to talk about communication. I know how important communication is between drivers and dispatch and staying on time, the customer service angle, keeping your customers happy, making sure that we're not running bakeries out of flour here. But I wonder, and Rob, I'll start with you here from a terminal manager standpoint. You can talk to the drivers here. They're listening. How important is good, solid, clear communication to helping this puzzle go together every single day without a hitch?
It's vital. I mean, if you don't have good communication, things are going to fall apart. People are going to not be led. I'm the type of manager that I like to lead. Okay. I like to lead before I manage. Therefore, I was a coach, and, when I got out of high school, I was a coach and, did the whole leading thing as far as teaching little kids how to wrestle and, play drums and ride dirt bikes and all kinds of stuff. But I like to lead, and I want to lead, and that gains some trust in people before you manage. Some people don't take leading very well, or management very well, or constructive criticism. Everybody's different. You got to kind of feel people out and just kind of lead them in the direction that is the way they want to be managed. and be able to communicate with them. Some people aren't communicative. You know, we just had a person that wasn't very communicative here, that left us, and it sucks, but you got to communicate, and getting through every obstacle we have during the day, because things change by the minute here sometimes. We definitely got to communicate, and that's just key for me. That's number one. That safety's number one, and communication's number two. I'm gonna tell you that. So.
For sure. Well, Rob, I already knew I liked you because you'd been on here before. We had a great chat. This one's going well too, but I didn't know you were a fellow drummer, man. Rhythm section for life, bud. How long have you? Oh, and Dale, you're a drummer too?
Yes.
Amazing, Jeremy. If you tell me you play lead guitar, I'm kicking you out.
No, I played drums for about 7 or 8 years, and I had to sell them off. So I'm there, but it's been a long time.
Hey, you can stay, man. That's fine. We got a rhythm section chat here. I like it. Rob, how long have you been playing the drums, man?
Since I could hold sticks. That's why we're hearing aids.
Yes, right? Sir. So. Yes, sir. You know, I've reached the digital age. The band I'm playing with now, we even practice with in-ear monitors. I don't feel like I'm 20 anymore because those are glorified earplugs that just play a little bit of sound. That's all it is. So totally get it. How about you, Dale? How long have you been playing?
I started when I'm 12. I'm 60 now, so been a little while.
Yeah. You guys had drum circles around me. Same for me. I started when I was 12 too. So
I also play the guitar. So I do play rhythm and lead guitar, acoustic guitar, bass guitar, and so.
You're one of those guys that can do everything. If we carbon copied you 5 times, we'd have a sweet band, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually done. I've retracked things for musicians. You know, behind the scenes, because, you know, sometimes they lay a track down and it doesn't sound all that great. And so I'll go in behind the scenes and redub their tracks to make the final product better. So
leave it to the drummer. Leave it to the drummer. Right. We're just here cleaning up the messes. That's all we do, right?
Right.
Getting, you know, we're the offensive lineman of the band. We get no credit. But without us, you wouldn't want to listen to it, right?
Right. But that being said, work hard, but play hard too. You know?
There you go.
It can't be all about work. There's got to be a balance. I know Rob knows this. I've known Rob a long time.
So I kind of wonder, Dale, we didn't really talk to you about the communication side of things, but talk to me about how important that strong communication is out there in Saginaw. Obviously, you know, the trailers are the same, the trucks are the same, or at least similar, but the product you're hauling is different. The work you're doing is a little bit different. How does the communication come into play in Saginaw?
Oh, it's super important here because, like I said, we're taking care of our customers. So they don't want to hear from their customers before they hear from us first. They don't want to be told that there's a problem from their customer end. They want to hear it from us. And for that to happen, we need to hear from our people. They need to let us know if something's going on because there's a lot going on. It's easy to get distracted. This is a huge place. We've probably got 100 people working here at any time. Right. There's trucks and trailers and stuff going in and out. There's a lot of, we got maintenance people. We got all kinds of stuff going on between the mill and us. Yeah. And, you know, there's all kinds of people coming in and out of the office or whatever. So it's easy for us to get distracted. So we kind of rely on the drivers to, you know, call or text and let us know, hey, I'm running behind and why, so that we can, you know, see that and then get with the mill and let them know, hey, we're going to be a little late, so they can get with the customer ahead of time. So, because it goes a lot better for us when we get ahead of it. It's not a surprise. And I don't like surprises like that. You know, I want to know, and Jeremy wants to know, so that we can let the mill know, so that they can let the customers know, so that everybody's happy.
Sure. That line of communication is so important. And Jeremy, I imagine, especially for you with a hand in dispatch, even more important because, again, we talked about that ripple effect just one call out can have. Talk to me a little bit about the team and how effectively they communicate and how that helps you do your job.
Well, the good thing is with most of the guys down here, they have a group chat kind of in between themselves. So a lot of the guys, they're communicating back and forth and saying, well, you know, Jeremy called me and said, hey, I'm going to run this load, so we're going to swap. And so a lot of these guys are pretty much kind of in touch with each other mostly throughout the day. But yeah, like everybody said, you get that one call in or the one text message at 4 o'clock in the morning and they're supposed to be somewhere at 9 a.m. and you're having to scramble and pull somebody from here and put them there. And okay, well, if I do this here, then this is going to leave A and B. So now I have to put this on somebody else. And it's nice to be able to, one, have the relationship with some of these guys, to communicate in between themselves, but also be able to reach out and say, hey, I had to move so-and-so, can you pick this up for me? And they're like, yeah, sure, not a problem. You know, like Dale and Rob have both said, it's nice that communication is vital for sure, to make sure we take care of everybody here, take care of the mill, and that way everybody's happy.
Great stuff there. I love it. Rob, I'll come back to you here. I want to talk a little bit about the customer service angle. On your side of things, we already got a little bit of peek into it from Dale and Jeremy's side. You know, they're right there on site. How much work goes into maintaining customer relationships behind the scenes out there at Fairborn? Obviously, still, we got to keep our customers happy. We know that the Bulk and Spur drivers do great work, but that's something that we're dependent upon you for out there as the terminal manager from time to time to sort of serve these relationships. How much work goes into that behind the scenes, Rob?
Oh, it's a lot of work, a lot of Phil Spring lunches. That's really good. But no, it does. It takes a lot. I mean, I try to tell every person who walks in my door to, you know, that has an interview with me, go over the mission statement with them. You know, Brian's mission statement is pulling on not only through a business aspect, but just life in general. Okay. And it's, when I really got to read that and understand it and really took it in, because I think at first I read it and, you know, I just read it but it really didn't sink in. But once it sank in, now I just push it. I just live by this. I try to make my drivers live by it, because that's what, if you do all of what his statement says and you have all the pillars holding up that roof, everything works out. Mm-hmm. But if you miss one pillar, if it's safety, if it's communication, if whatever it is, that roof is going to collapse somewhere. Okay, it will fall.
Yeah,
okay. That's when mistakes happen. That's when, if you didn't check your bill of lading and match up addresses, you're going to go to the wrong address eventually. Okay, and it could be just like Dale. You know, talking about communication with Dale. I mean, that one phone call that somebody actually can communicate could catch the smallest number off of a load, or it could change the whole dynamics of, that's the wrong trailer, you know, that's the wrong product, that's the wrong customer. We're all human, you know, we're the ones typing in all this stuff. And trust me, I'm not a very good typer. But you know, I make some mistakes on this keyboard, and because we're all human. But thank God, you know, these guys do communicate, and they do catch those things. You know, at the most part, for us, you know, it's getting better. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it's getting better, and I think that's through hard work from Dale and people like me in interviews that really kind of, you know, this is important. I have expectations of you. I expect you to be on time. I expect you to communicate. I don't just want you to just walk in here and just want to, you know, not speak with me. You know what I mean? I want to hear about your day. I want you to tell me that you had problems with the trailer or something like that, so I can lead you, okay, to do maybe an easier job the next time, and make it easy for these guys and safe and efficient.
Great stuff there. Dale, any thoughts to add to that? Obviously, I see you guys kind of nodding your head. Every now and then I see Jeremy look up and nod his head very, very emphatically. So obviously some stuff that goes for the Saginaw Terminal there, and what Rob just said as well.
My thoughts on this, for one, everybody's got trucks and trailers out there. Our competition's got all that. It's our service that we sell. So we want over-the-top customer service. We want that customer to have such a good experience that he doesn't want to get product from anywhere else. So that's going to be on the drivers to give that. It's going to be on us when we're dealing with customers to give that. It takes everybody. Everybody's got to do their part. And the other is that we live and die by the numbers. Like Rob said, if you know, it doesn't take but one digit off and everything's messed up. So if you get complacent and it's like, oh, I do this every day, I don't really need to check all this. I get people that'll check like the last two numbers on a seal. Well, seal might have 8 digits in it, and the last two numbers were the same as a different load. So check all the numbers. Make sure all your numbers are right. Make sure you check the location. Make sure you go to the right location, that kind of thing, because we can't rely on the receivers. A lot of those out there, they don't check anything. So we started doing double checks here before they leave the yard. So everybody that has a load, they check their load, and then they have to get another team member to check their load. And sometimes they're calling Jeremy or myself out of the office, and we're happy to. We'll walk right outside. We'll check your numbers. And the part that people don't know is middle of the night when there's nobody there. We're getting pictures of everything. People take pictures of their seal numbers, their trailer hooked to their truck, their bill of lading, and I'm rubbing sand out of my eyes, putting glasses on, or he is getting, looking at the pictures, trying to make sure it all match, and we'll tell them good to go. It doesn't matter if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever, whenever, whatever, shout out to Tina that puts up with me when my phone's ringing all night like that. But
I was going to say, is there ever a time, Dale, that you wish one of these drivers would just sleep in for a couple of hours?
Yeah, sometimes.
Amen.
No.
Amen.
It's more headaches when they don't make it on time. So I'd rather
Yeah,
I tell them all
he's
the time,
right.
all mine. If you need something, wake me up. But if it's something that is I can't do anything about at the time, like, don't call me about your payroll problem at 2 o'clock in the morning, because payroll's not, I can't get that fixed at 2 o'clock in the morning, So some
But
things
I can complain about it at 2 o'clock in the morning, Dale.
That's the thing. I think someone thinks since they're awake, everybody should be, or something like that. But, we're human. We got to sleep too, and our sleep does get interrupted a lot, Yeah. I call it, cellular insomnia. That's when that cell phone rings and you don't get any sleep. But it's part of the territory. And I don't mind when it's legit.
When somebody wakes you up, Dale, you're like, that's why all you're doing is thinking about it. You cannot go back to sleep. It could be 1 o'clock in the morning and somebody will call and say, hey, I got a flat tire, or I'm in an accident. And then you're just thinking that's all you're thinking about. So,
yeah.
Well, that's the other part. We can't ignore the phone. You never know what it's going to be. Is it somebody that, has a problem because they got a flat tire? Or do you have a truck with 18 wheels sticking up in the air? We never know.
Right.
That's
it's bad. It's bad. I've seen some doozies here.
Yeah, it's definitely scary.
I hate to make everybody, wherever I'm at, stop. It's like, sorry, I got to go to work for a second. The phone rang, but I never know what's going to be on the other end of that phone or how bad it's going to be. So
sure, and those drivers depend on you to be there, right? That's something that's part of the communication end of it, and as unfortunate as it may be sometimes at 1 a.m. in the morning, that's what the job entails, right?
That's what it entails.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't know how bad it's going to be, but yeah.
Well, fellas, we've talked about how things can go wrong. We talked about the ripple effect. We talked about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. I want to give you the opportunity to tell me a story about when a driver saved the day, because I know that stuff happens. We already hear that Rob's got a couple drivers on loan down to Saginaw. I love how you guys operate like the Premier League in soccer, where it's like, hey, you know what? I got this guy here. You can have him for a little bit. We'll loan him out to you. But as long as you give him back with good knees, we're okay with it. So talk to me a little bit, Rob, maybe we can start with you. Is there a time that sticks out where a driver just went above and beyond, or really did something that kind of bailed out the whole squad, or just cleaned up a mess that would have been bigger had they not come along?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think each and every one of my drivers, at one point in time, will do that. Okay. I'm not going to pinpoint one or the other, but I think all of them help each other out. Not only does that put a lot of stress off of me, I mean, I can't be on the phone all day long with a guy that's plugged up, you know what I mean? I would love to help them out. And I usually am. It's usually off duty. Mm-hmm. I'm usually home, and then I'm trying to unclog somebody on the phone. But no, I think everybody does their own part to make everything work. Some people are better at unloading lime than others. Dale, I mean, you got your guys doing flour, and you know the ones that are definitely going to check their stuff and double, triple check their stuff, and the ones that are going to make it happen. We all have those people, but collaboration of a team working all together, I think, to me, is more important than just individuals. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can tell. That's part of liking to lead first and manage second, right, Rob?
Correct.
I love it. I love it. Dale, anything to add there, you or Jeremy? Talking about a time that a driver saved the day. I love what Rob said there, is that basically each one of the drivers out of Fairborn is going to save the day. It's sort of inherent in the job that they're doing. I imagine it's probably a lot the same out there in Saginaw.
It is very much like that. I've seen times where a driver will call me. He's like, I see a spur truck, one of ours stuck on the side of the road, and they're stopping, and then they're like, okay, they'll run, go get him. It's hot in Texas or whatever, and make sure he gets some water and some food and all that. Take it back out. Guy's waiting on his tow truck. So other drivers checking in on him. Or you get one that they get out to a location and maybe the hot hose blew out and they can't unload. So, people that'll, I'm empty, and they are in the area, and they'll show up and go do a buddy pump, try to help them out, And, a lot of times we'll pay them a little extra for the extra time that's on the load or whatever, because they're helping somebody through a mechanical issue or whatever. Yeah. That kind of thing, that helps. But the ones that they pay attention to everything and they are on time, and, you give them an assignment, the next thing you get back is some paperwork. The paperwork's legible and everything. The customer's happy and all that. To all of the ones that are doing that every day, day in, day out. And some of them for years. I got a couple with million-mile tags and I've been here a long time. To those kind of people, thank you so much, because without you guys, we're in trouble.
For sure. For sure. We talk about the quality. Actually, just last week's episode, we were talking about the quality of the training that the drivers receive at Bulk and Spur. And part of what we figured out during that episode was that a lot of times trainers and their trainees are going to stay in touch. They're going to stay in communication for a long time, maybe even decades down the road. And being able to share that type of knowledge between trainer and trainee that many years into the future is really what develops this kind of family-led architecture at Bulk and Spur. It's like you almost feel like it's not a trainer-trainee relationship. It's like an older and younger sibling relationship. Like, yeah, I'm going to tell you when you're messing it up so that you can clean it up and do it right. But at the end of the day, it's because I want you to succeed. And that type of camaraderie, while it happens in the trucking industry, you don't see it as often in other fleets as what you do here at Bulk and Spur, guys. And I got to say hats off for that, because that's one of those things that takes an entire village to do, Dale.
Right. Yeah, I agree on that. I've been other places where it's kind of dog eat dog, and people here, and it starts at the top. I mean, we're a family-owned company, the Wolf family, and they're awesome people to work with, and they foster that in everybody around them. And then we try to do the same, foster that in our people. And it's all one, big happy family, most of it. I mean, we have our moments.
Everybody has their
like
moments,
any other
right?
family, sometimes you got, a couple of people, not happy with each other. Not everybody's happy every day, that happens.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, it was nothing for my sister and I to be saying very nice things about each other at the dinner table, and 5 minutes later, I'm throwing her over the back of the couch, and we're fighting. I mean, that is what it is. But those things tend to smooth over quickly with the type of relationships that you guys build at Bulk and Spur. And I want to give you guys both a chance here, or all three of you a chance, to talk to maybe a prospective employee, somebody that's listening to this podcast right now that doesn't work for Bulk or Spur yet, but is going to or wants to in the future. Rob, what would you say to that driver about life in general at Bulk? What should they expect? Why should they come to Fairborn and drive and haul minerals for you?
I tell everybody that comes into my office that, if you get hired here, you're not just a number. People at Plain City, Sydney, wherever you go, they're going to know you by your name. It's just, I don't know. I think it's amazing that Brad and Brian and everybody can actually remember names. You see a lot of drivers coming going around there, but somehow Brad remembers names, when people go into the shop. I don't know. I think that, every time I say that to somebody, they feel relieved. Okay. And, to me it's a job. I love my job, and, to them, it's they feel like they could be a number. But when you tell them that these 25 drivers on my board here are going to be like family here, and if you get hired here, you're going to really have some relationships with your trainer, anybody who's been to a job site that's going to help you and communicate with you, might make your day a little bit easier, but you'll start to figure out we're all in this together and we're all in it to help each other out. So.
Great stuff. And again, something that's not always the way it is out there in the trucking industry. That is a lead complaint that I hear from drivers. Oh, the last place that I worked at, I was just a number. I didn't even have a name. Every time I called the terminal, they asked me for my number, not my name. And that really matters to truck drivers. I think you could say across the board, they're people. They're doing a really dangerous job. They want to be recognized and understood. And I think that's something that Bulk and Spur does very well, Rob.
I agree.
Dale, to you and Jeremy, same question. What are you going to tell somebody that might come to work for you out there for Spur and Saginaw? Anything that comes to mind?
I would say I've kind of got a unique perspective as far as being here. When I originally got hired on, I got hired on as a loader. So I started kind of from the bottom and worked my way up to this position. I was thankful to get the opportunity to move into the assistant terminal manager role. As far as it being a company to work for, I've been at other places. I did roofing for 10 years. I've been at different warehouses. It's the same anywhere else. They treat you as a number, not as a person. I will say the first phone call I did get when I got promoted to this position was from Sean. Called me by, I'd never met Sean since I'd been here. Hey, Jeremy, it's nice to have you over here. Congratulations on moving up. I got emails from Brian, Andrea, from everybody telling me, hey, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you doing everything you did. So that kind of made me feel like it was kind of a very homely place, knowing that I've never met these people since I've been here, but they're the first ones that I get emails and phone calls from congratulating me on moving up to this position. So definitely, for sure, it is a very family-oriented business. It's a great place to work. I mean, we have our days, but overall, it's a good place to work.
That's amazing to hear from Sean and Brian and Andrea and Brad. I can only imagine how good that felt right in the middle of the chest, man. I'm one of those guys where a small pat on the back can go a long way for me. If somebody just looks at me once in a while and says, hey, I like that episode, or hey, I liked what you said here, I can live off of that sustenance for weeks at a time, Jeremy. So I just imagine that was that was just one of many things that's really solidified your love for the company you work for.
That's right. It was, like you said, it hit me in the chest pretty much. Once I got over here, I was able to hear from everybody. It motivated me to do everything I could to make this where I want to stay.
Great stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that, fellas. I know you guys are busy. I want to let you get back to it here. As you know, if you've listened to the show, we always offer everybody that comes on the show the opportunity to share their final thoughts with us, just to make sure we didn't leave anything on the table, or give some shout-outs. I will say, you'd never lose points by shouting out your wife or your kids on this podcast. So something to think about there. But Rob, we'll come to you first. Thanks for joining us again, man. Always a pleasure to have you here. Final thoughts from you, Rob Shope, terminal manager down there at the Fairborn Terminal, before we let you go, my friend.
Man, I'm just thankful. Okay, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for who I work for. I'm thankful for my whole team here. I'm thankful for my assistant. I'm thankful for everything. So I'm just gonna leave it at that and just say I'm thankful. And I hope to continue to grow. Hope Bulk keeps me around to keep growing with them. And I'm just thankful.
Great stuff, man. We're thankful that you gave us some time today, Rob. Thank you so much for being here. Dale, we'll go over to you real quick for your final thoughts, and then Jeremy will come to you. Dale Cetina, terminal manager out at Saginaw. Greatly appreciate the time and on short notice today. You guys all really came through for me today. Final thoughts from you before we let you go, Dale.
Well, I have to follow suit. I got the attitude of gratitude as well. I just want to thank God that he put me on the wake up list. I'm getting older, and every day you wake up when you get older is a plus, and thank God for that. I thank the DeWolf family because they've been great to me over the years. I've been here almost 14 years. I drove here for a year, so I understand all that, but been in the office for 13 almost. and they've been great to me. They've helped me grow through that, so thank you for that. I'd like to thank the whole crew. Jeremy, number one assistant. Well, the Tina says thanks too. Yeah. And, all the loaders that we have, and Jeremy in the shop to keep things going, and, the wash techs, and, everybody, the drivers. It takes everybody doing everything to make it happen. So thanks for making it happen. And thanks for our customers for keeping us busy. I appreciate all of them. And, and also, thank you, Tina.
My guy there, you didn't let that go unsaid.
Right?
Good job.
10 months today. She woke me, when I woke up this morning, first thing she said was happy anniversary. It was 10 months today. So,
you know what? I think I got a button here loaded up for that. We can do an applause for 10 months for sure. Well said there, Dale. Thank you so much for the time. Jeremy Willison, we're going to come to you, Assistant Terminal Manager out there at the Saginaw Terminal in Texas. Final thoughts from you. Thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, no, I greatly appreciate it. I know we've been hearing it going on for a while, and I was glad to get the opportunity to come on and kind of give my side of the story from down here. I do have to appreciate, everybody up in the office, Brian, Brad, Andrea, everybody there for giving me the opportunity to come here. I have to appreciate Dale for giving me the opportunity to get promoted over to this position here. Obviously without him giving me the go ahead, I'd still be here. I'd still be a loader, but it's nice to be able to move up and continue to grow here and make sure this is somewhere I want to stay. And then of course, I have to give the shout out to my kids. I told them I was going to be on here today. So shout out to my kids, Hannah and Hunter, for me making them sit through the episode to listen to it. So that way I can prove that I was on here today.
Nice. Shout out to Hannah and Hunter. That's awesome. Thanks for bringing the families along. That's one of the best things you do. I make my parents listen to this every single day too. So once a week, they're always pneumatic, never static fans, whether they like it or not. That's just part of being in the family, right, guys?
Right. Shout out to you too, Marcus, and the crew that you have, and for all the podcasts that you're doing. It's been good.
Thank you so much, Dale. We've got a fantastic team over here. I am the tip of the iceberg in that, I'm the one that makes the most noise behind the microphone, but I'm not the one that does the best work here. Give Mike, my editor, Tyler, the web guy, Jessica, our producer, Ari, our graphics person. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I've forgotten people, but I really appreciate the shout out, and I want to share it with the whole squad. So I'm adding into the final thoughts here for once on the show. Gentlemen, Dale, Jeremy, Rob, you guys are awesome today. Thank you all so much. We will definitely get you back in here soon. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
See you guys.
Thank you. Right there.
Can't thank Rob, Dale, and Jeremy enough for that. That was an awesome segment, and I said a peek behind the curtain. Man, we ripped the curtain off the rod and just let you stand in the window and watch for as long as you wanted to. Fantastic stuff there. I want to really draw the point home here that every delivery that you make, even if it's just one, even if it's just a little short one that you're going to be home early this afternoon, or maybe get the grass mowed, maybe have a nice cold beer in the garage and get to spend some time with family. Even that one load that you took that seems like nothing represents dozens of unseen decisions made by operations, maintenance, dispatch, drivers, customers, and support staff. I think that Rob really hit the nail on the head when he said every single day is a puzzle, and we have to put the puzzle together. And I mean, hey, they illustrated that. It is a puzzle because it doesn't go together the same way every single time. Sometimes you start out the right way by getting all the edges and the corners worked in, and then you fill in the middle. But other times, you can't find that edge piece. You can't find that corner piece, and you got to work for it. And that's where the support of the rest of the staff, the drivers, the customers, everybody really steps up. This conversation really emphasized a few things like communication, trust, and people stepping up for each other, like I said, from loaning drivers between terminals to answering phones in the middle of the night. And you even heard it. Dale's phone rang like 2 or 3 times during that episode or during that segment, and he was nice enough to mute those calls, send them on to voicemail, but I guarantee you they just stacked up on him, and those are now issues that he's got to solve, questions he's got to answer, or decisions he's got to make. And these guys take their job very seriously, and that is one of many reasons that this operation across all terminals runs as smoothly as it does. And that's part of the culture, right? The operation works not because everything goes according to plan every single day. You can't even wish for that. I mean, if you had a genie and you said, hey, everything's got to go off without a hitch every single day, I think the genie would scoff at you a little bit and say, easy, bud. I can't do quite that much. People adapt behind the scenes when things don't go right at Bulk, and that's what matters. They don't stop at the end of their job description and say, that's it, I'm not helping out anymore. They see somebody struggling, they got a few extra minutes in their day, and maybe they go from their office over to the cubicle and help out. Maybe it's a driver that's headed home for the day. The day is effectively done. All I got to do is get this truck and trailer back, and I'm on the golf course. But then they see another Bulk driver pulled off on the side of the road and doesn't look like things are going well. The golf course can wait. We got to adapt. It's time to make sure this driver has everything he needs and he doesn't need any help. That's the culture at Bulk. That's the thing that really drives this bus. And you heard Rob talk about Brian's mission statement and how it really finally clicked for him. When he first saw it, it was words on a page, but when it finally clicked for him, everything made sense. You got to think about that mission statement as more than words on a page. You have to think about that mission statement as a tattoo that everybody that works under this umbrella has. It doesn't change. It doesn't adapt. It doesn't move. That mission statement is what it is for a reason. And everybody from the top down, Brian, Brad, Andrea, Sean, Tim, everybody, the terminal managers, of course, Rob, Dale, Jeremy, and beyond, they're all living that every single day. It's the lifeblood of this company, the culture of stepping up to help one another out, trusting one another, communicating efficiently and effectively. It's all part of what makes Bulk move forward into the future. And I feel like we've been really lucky here in these last few episodes because we had the company anniversary special where we got to talk to the top end leadership about the kind of a state of the union and what they're seeing for the future and what they're proud of at this point. And then our last episode, we talked to a couple of guys that are training the new crop of drivers at Bulk. And we talked to Rachel about how she recruits the new crop of drivers at Bulk. And today, we talked to the guys behind the operations at a couple of terminals and got some really good insight on how they keep this whole thing moving. We've kind of done a top-down view of this from the last 3 episodes, and I feel like it gives us a great composite of what Bulk and Spur really are. And why it is that for every episode we've had on this show, guys come in and gals come in and they talk about how much they love working for this company, and it's because of the culture that has been pumping through the blood of this company for years, decades at this point, and we'll keep doing that. And that's you guys. That's something that you have to take a little pride in today. After hearing an episode like this, I think everybody that works for Bulk and Spur should give themselves a pat on the back for a job well done when it comes to keeping this culture intact and helping out, communicating effectively, being a family rather than a number. It's all part of it, man. It's what makes this ship float through the waters of the trucking industry and look so much better than so many of the other ships that it's driving by out there. And wow, are we fortunate here at Always Pneumatic, Never Static, the entire crew that gets to help me make this podcast, and make it sound like it's a privilege that they get to work for me. It's not. I'm the one that's privileged to have such a great team around me. And I can't thank Dale enough and Rob and Jeremy for calling it out and telling us that we're doing a great job. I can live on that again. I said that one pat on the back for me, my stomach's full for the next 3 weeks. I guarantee it. Thank you to those guys once again for coming on here and sharing their time with us. We got to wrap this thing up. We're out of time today, but as always, we will be back next week with another fantastic episode, an hour of content for you, all about Bulk and Spur, right here on Always Pneumatic, Never Static. I've been Marcus. You've been awesome. Thank you for joining us here today. We'll see you next week. Be safe out there, Bulk and Spur.
And that's all she blows for today's episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static, your number one and probably only pneumatic trucking podcast, brought to you by Bulk Transit. Thanks for rolling with us today. Till next time, stay safe, keep those lines clear, and keep it pumping.